Hello everyone and welcome back to Suzerain here for the third episode, and definitely following on from a rather crisis-filled episode last time. We had a political assassination of a famous communist poet, and it's going to have repercussions between the left and right-wing establishments of the country. But first we've got a dinner with the family at home, which should hopefully be a little bit calm. But I know our son is not too happy with us, so we'll have to see. After a long day at the palace, I was finally home. I thanked Sergei and walked to the front gates, nodding at the two guards as I went by. Even as I turned the doorknob, I could hear Dina rushing down the stairs to greet me. I opened the door, and there she was, standing in front of me with expectant eyes. "Papa, you're home!" There's my bright little daughter. Let's go with that. See if we can inspire her to become something great. I lifted Dina up and hugged her while trying to put the keys in the tray next to the entrance. She was growing fast. Lifting her up was no longer as easy as it once was. How was school? Boring. I liked my old school better. I put her down and her expression turned serious. "Papa, are the bad men gone?" There was only one bad man, Dina, and yes, he's gone now. I'll never let anyone hurt you ever. Also, it's only one bad man, Dina. He's gone, but there could be others. But we're not going to tell you that, Dina. Dina dashed down the hallway. "Mama, Papa's here." Monica appeared next to the kitchen door. She was wearing an apron and holding a spatula in her hand. "Dina, what did I tell you? No running in the house." "Yes, Mama." Monica approached me and kissed me on the cheek. A tantalising smell wafted from the kitchen behind her. "How's your day, dear?" "I'm hungry. When's dinner?" "Darling, you shouldn't have. That's what we have a cook for." "How's your day, dear?" "Terrific. I finally got to do some grocery shopping just like old times, and I'm making your favourite." "You don't mean..." "Yes, Zabla." Zabla was my hometown speciality. It's a chickpea stew, topped with braised beef and tomatoes and Burgundy spices, traditionally served in a clay pot. That sounds like a tagine, or something similar. It was my absolute favourite dish, especially paired with kebij, a potent, unfiltered wine from the region. It's my lucky day. What's the occasion? No occasion. I just wanted to cheer up everyone a bit. Her smile faded, and she lowered her voice so that Dina wouldn't hear, especially after what happened at the ball. "I'm worried, Anton. For you, for the children, for the country." Dina suddenly appeared next to us. "Mama?" "Yes, sweetheart?" "I'm hungry." "We'll eat in just a minute. Will you help me set the table?" "Can you tell Frank to come down for his dinner, Anton? He's been sulking in his room all day." Yeah, I expected that, to be honest. Loud rock and roll music echoed down the hallway from his room. I caught a faint hint of cigarette smoke. We'll knock on the door. Let's not be one of those annoying parents who just open the door. Let's knock. Let's be polite. There was no response. Knock on the door again. Still no response. Bang on the door. The stereo in Frank's room clicked off. All right, all right. What do you want?" Turn up those records. Let's do this one. Turn those records up louder next time, won't you? I don't think the rain neighbours heard. Ha ha. Ha. The table was prepared and Monica was ladling food onto plates. "Come on, have a seat. It won't be tasty if it's cold." As we started eating, the room went quiet. Monica's cooking was as delicious as ever, but I had the feeling that wasn't the reason nobody spoke. Monica was the first to break the silence. "Say, did you know they refurbished the grocery store? I don't know if you remember the owner. He's been there every day for the past 30 years. Can you imagine doing the same job for so long? What if you were president for 20 years, for example?" 20 years of this, I'll be dead. I don't want this country to suffer another unjust soul. Let's try that. Agreed. That must never happen again. Anyway, the grocer really is a nice person. He threw in some extra vegetables with my... Frank suddenly slammed his hands down the table, rattling the plates. Monica, Dina, and I stared at him. "So this is how it's going to be? We're just going to sit here like nothing ever happened?" "Dad, you could have been killed. Mum could have been killed. Any one of us could have been killed." Dina's lower lip started trembling. Monica put her hand on Frank's shoulder. "And yet, we are still alive. For now, but how long until this happens again?" "Frank, let's talk about it. Sit down." "I know it was a close call, but everything's under control. Don't worry, you're going to be fine." "I know it was a close call, but everything's under control." "How? How is it under control?" My security assumed they took all the necessary steps. The same security that let a person got shot in front of the palace. Frank, listen to your father. If your father says we don't need to worry, then we don't need to worry. You have to trust him. We all have to trust each other. Things calmed down a bit. We finished our food in silence. Frank got up first and retreated back to his room. Monica lifted Dina up and plopped in front of the living room TV before returning to the table. She sat down across from me. Anton, he is still young. I know, but there's not much longer we can shield him from the ugliest of the world. That's the truth, really. He's scared, Anton, and frankly, he isn't the only one. I worry too, Monica. Things might escalate. Again, it's the truth. I think being truthful with our family is the best opportunity we have to kind of make amends with them should things go awry. She got up, stood behind me, and massaged my shoulders for a moment before leaving me alone in the dining room. I sat at the table alone and drained my glass. Had I been lying to Frank and Dina? Was the threat to my family truly over? Time would tell. I don't think it is, really, but hey-ho. Okay, what is next? Next thing at Wholesword. End of the day at the Maroon Palace. React to the unrest. Let's do end of the day first. It was late in the evening. The Maroon Palace was finally getting somewhat quiet when I returned to my office at the top. I eagerly approached my chair and sprawled out on it. It had been an exhausting day, just like every day since I took office. Let's lean back and relax. I stretched out my arms, leaned back in my chair and took a deep breath. Wholesword's skyline was daunting, but beautiful. I glanced downwards at the main gate and saw Sergei and the guards waiting for me by the main gate. I had a couple of knocks on the door. My secretary, Livia Suno, entered. Mr. President, Mr. Tusk is here to see you. He had a meeting with the Lotherberg spokesman. I'm so sorry for not giving you the proper notice. Don't worry about it. Let's keep the secretary on the side. Thank you for your understanding. After a moment, Mr. Tusk swaggered into the room. I'd met Sorden's most prominent businessman once or twice, but never alone. He had large jowls, blindingly shining shoes, and the air of someone who was used to getting his way. Anything to drink, Mr. Tusk? Water? Whiskey? Cognac. Preferably from before you were born, sweetheart. I'll check the supply room. Livia backed out of the office, shooting me an apology to look as she did so. Walter hung up his hat, which I could see was lined with mink. He fixed me with a long, hard stare, then broke into a toothy grin. Good evening, Mr. President. I'm here to congratulate you. My business partners and I wish you a successful term as the leader of our nation. Thank you, Mr. Tusk. I had no chance to say this to the ball with all the panic, but we're very much looking forward to working with you. Likewise. I'd like to build a profitable relation between us. That being said, there are some concerns of mine and the people that I represent, which I'd like to take this opportunity to clear up. The people you represent. You know that I represent the Lotherberg group, Mr. President, but of course these concerns are not limited to them. The ruined state of the economy in Swordland has influenced everyone. Recession hit all of us hard. Walter pulled out a box of cigars from his jacket. I had these brought in from Lesbia, the best cigars in the whole continent. Would you like to try one? Sure. Let's try be amicable, because I don't know how much longer we can be amicable with this man. Now we're talking, a man who knows pleasure and business. Walter grabbed himself a cigar and lit it up as well. We looked out at the city scenery as we both puffed away. I heard he purchased stock from Armadine Industries in Arcasia. Smart buy. They're developing new gadgets that are going to be profitable. With risk comes reward. I expect a very good return on investment. You have a keen eye for business. I'll buy a couple of thousand shares to expand my portfolio. Hopefully the investment pays off for both of us, Mr. President. The assassination and the troubles between the left and right are worrying, but the recession is the root cause of these issues. For us, it is worrying to see that you've decided to promote a planned economy. Ooh. So now we start to see some of the decisions we make come back to haunt us. The recession was triggered by the market reforms of Alfonso. We need more government control. Let's try that one. Recession was triggered by the market reforms of Alfonso, which he couldn't finish due to being heavily obstructed by the establishment. Economics needs long-term strategy and mid-term adjustments to provide growth and stability. My father once said you have to finish what you started, and he is right. The system collapsed because Alfonso didn't finish the reforms he started, and then look at what happened to him. The high-speed rail investment was a great decision. The business logistics will improve and boost the economy once finished. The intention of the administration is to boost the economy, which is the truth. And that's not a lie for sure. The right intentions. We can be close allies. The group can help get you... the group? Who the group? Oh, the Lotherberg group, yes. Can help get you Swordland out of the recession, which will be a key problem to solve in your term, or to even determine your re-election. Let's start with a gesture of goodwill. Soon the investment project contract will be awarded to one of 3 main contenders. My personal bank details were listed on it with a deposit of 500,000 Swedish Ren ready to be transferred. This was 6 months for the President's salary. If the contract was somehow awarded to Underhall Construction, they would not only work hard and deliver, but also do it on time. What do you think, Mr. Rain? That wouldn't be good. Wouldn't that be good? There was a noise by the door. Olivia Suna was standing there, holding a tray with a bottle and 2 glasses. I'm so sorry, Mr. Tusk. But all I could find was a 1942 Savigny. I hope that's acceptable. She quickly put the tray on my desk and walked out. Tusk eyed her as she left. Remind me to visit your office more often. Now, where were we? Do we have a deal? Oh, I'm not taking bribes this early on into the presidency. Did you just try to bribe the president of Swordland? I refuse. I'll make my own decision. I'm making my own decision. I'm not taking the bribe. Walter sighed and pulled the cheque away, putting it in his pocket. Do you think I was just another corrupt politician? Administrations are built on mutually beneficial partnerships, but I do understand where you stand now. Oh, I almost forgot. Please say hello to Mr. Coronti for me. He smiled. Have a good evening, Mr. President. Walter stood up, grabbed his jacket and made his way towards the door. He closed the door behind him. I gathered my things and prepared to finally head home. As I walked out, I noticed Olivia still there, covering up her typewriter of the evening. If I may be so bold, Mr. President, did you accept his offer? That's none of your business. Of course I didn't. How could you ever ask me that? Do not speak about it again. You didn't see anything. I did not do anything. The other girls told me that all kinds of dealings went on during the Alfonso administration. I wasn't sure if you were that kind of president. Don't worry about your pretty head about it. Let's not say that. I most certainly am not. She and I took a moment to look out over the lights of the city before heading to the elevators. Okay. Lots of things happening. Just have a look at the economists. Oh, free market might have been the better option, but we've gone for the planned economy now. Okay, Razia unrest. The political situation around the country has escalated. Chief strategist Lucian Gallard has provided several action plans that we can execute. What will we do to address the intensifying political climate? Call for restraint on national television, visit affected towns in person, label all protesters as traitors, expand the police by deploying all recruits in training, or reject the plans. We will visit affected towns in person, but that does increase the risk that we might be assassinated. But that's the decision I'm making. It's the one which I think will make most impact on these people. Okay, so we've got a few things to deal with now. Economic relief plan. Now let's start with let's read this report here. Local peace working with the nationalists. One of our agents, acting as a young swords member, had an encounter with 2 members of the local police force in Enrica, Alson Bowler and Vic Neza. According to the report, the policeman tried to bribe the agent to burn down a store that belonged to a known communist party and to investigate further violence. We have detained the policeman on charges of corruption. Not good. Okay, we arrived in Enrica by train. After being greeted by crowds of cheering citizens and the local government officials, we headed to the city hall. We are here for a significant meeting about the L1 project. Several construction companies sent their representatives to the city hall. Gus was the first to arrive. He greeted me with a heartwarming smile. Hello, Mr. President. Good to see you again. Appreciate you taking up my offer on the stock investment. Armadine is a very promising corporation, and if everything goes well, you make solid returns. Thanks for arranging the opportunity. I'll treat you to a 30-year-old Ellery Maroon if they make solid profits. Let's try that. My pleasure, Mr. President. I'm looking forward to that Ellery Maroon already. It must be a drink. Simon Hall joined us. After settling down, we moved on to discuss the details of the L1 railway project. I came by train yesterday and it was a little uncomfortable. Besides starting our economic recovery, this project will make the journey here much more pleasant, Mr. President. That is a given. But we'll also see improvements in everything from logistics to growth. You made the right decision for sure. I hope so, Gus. This project will help along my rural development plans by attracting new businesses in the area. Thank you. According to my estimations, the new railway will give about 50,000 citizens in the Greater Holsword and Gelsland areas employment. Do you need any additional support? Not as of right now, however things might come up if the project doesn't go according to plan. I agree with Simon. Additional financial political support might be necessary if certain parties or issues block us. Simon searched through the documents he was holding and found the one he was looking for. I have the overview of the companies here. I looked at the files. 3 corporations were listed: the Swedish State Corporation, Underhall Construction, and Taurus Holding. I reviewed the listed corporations and I also wrote down some notes and ideas. We'll start with the Swedish State Corporation and go from there. The respected SSC, also known as the SSC, I already abbreviated it, was founded in 1891. It is the main state corporation tasked with running the day-to-day construction services of our country. The SSC is the primary reason why our current infrastructure is outdated. We need more adaptive construction companies. However, this would fulfill your initial election promises of using a state-dominant planned economy to improve the bleak recession situation. They have experience, knowledge, and manpower for a project of this size, although I'm not so sure about their efficiency. There is also the fact that their construction times are long, which is mostly due to their outdated methods. The experience they bring is beneficial, but we do have some issues about speed. I have no great admiration for the SSC, but the track record clearly shows completed contracts with thousands of employees who have experience. According to the preliminary calculations of the SSC, they need more resources to finish a project of this size. I like the SSC, but want to hear about the others. Underhall. Now this is who I was trying to be bribed at. The real estate construction giant was founded in 1925 and expanded during the economic boom of the 30s. Picking this corporation would go against our planned economy policy. The CEO of Underhall is Chris Shah, the mayor of Comriat. He sold half his shares a few years ago but seemed very eager about the L1 bid. I had the chance to work with Underhall Construction in Holsword. They took several contracts for the central station renovation and excelled at it. I want to hear your thoughts as well, Simon. I think that they've been doing relatively well in the private sector, where they're dominating the construction industry's successful projects. Nevertheless, they subjected their works to conditions below our working standards during the Holsword Central Station contract, which is troubling. Working conditions must be respected. This doesn't inspire confidence. Let me just point out that some of the workers were Agnolian and Vezek. Technically, Swedish labour laws didn't apply to them. Having worked on the renovation project, I can say that the conditions were not bad. Extra effort was needed to finish under time, which they did. That is all. Underhall specifically mentioned their solid track record and highlighted that they anticipate to go over budget, but they will finish on time. So 2 government projects, but they would finish quickly. Let's hear about the others. Taurus Holding. Taurus Holding was founded in 1946 and is owned by the entrepreneur Gerard Weiss. It is a new holding company whose subsidiaries use cutting-edge technology from Marcasia to reduce construction costs and prices. They are known to provide for their workers who are the part of the labour union of Swordland. They're a very interesting corporation, especially because of their innovative construction methods, but I don't think they're suitable for large projects like these. Why shouldn't we go with Taurus, just so we know? To be frank, what was the largest mega project they ever worked on? I don't even remember. Choosing this corporation is too risky for a project like this. What if things were to go wrong? The capabilities matter more than the history they have, which is to make unbiased decisions. They took a joint contract in Arcasia for restructuring the highway intersection in one of the major cities. It went well, but it's their only large-scale success. If we want to try a different company, this one is the most unique. The project manager from Taurus Holding mentioned that they would be able to finish the project with the allocated funding. They're the only company who found the budget sufficient, making them a cheaper alternative. Taurus is definitely worth considering. It's time to make a decision about who we go with. So Taurus is cheap and untested. Underhaul is going against labour laws. We'll do it quickly, and the SSC will do it slowly, but for one thingamajig. We'll go with the SSC. Good that we are staying consistent on economic strategy. Yeah, we're staying with our economic strategy, it's important. Very well, Mr. President, the contract will be awarded to the SSC. No hard feelings, Mr. President. At the end of the day, the success of the project is what matters. The company will be notified today, and construction work will begin immediately afterwards. I think we're off to a good start. My expectation is that the grand opening ceremony will be late next year. It will be a pleasure to celebrate together. For now, I'll return to my duties and visit some foreign partners in Rizia. See you soon, Mr. President. The meeting ended and we spent the remainder of the day attending events in Anrika. It was very refreshing to attend cultural dance events and hear the traditional Swordish music of Region. I cannot speak today. So we lost another couple of our budget, but I think our economic growth is getting better. It used to be a lot further downwards, but I think it's getting better. Okay, next, let's go with Comriat and meeting with Marcel Caronti. Our motorcade headed to the meeting location set by Marcel Caronti. I had only my most confidential and trustworthy team members with me. After a few hours driving along the River Eskel, we took a turn before entering Comriat. The darkness started setting in as we drove up a hill. Where are we, Sergei? We are nearing the HOS Country Club, Mr. President. We'll be there shortly. We arrived and the big iron gates of the country club opened. It was huge and outright extravagant. The main building, inspired by lesbian architecture, was illuminated from all sides. It was rather chilly. I was approached by Peter and Lucien. I hope the journey was comfortable. I can't think of comfort when our country is descending into chaos. We entered the main building. After opening the marble-engraved wooden door, we were greeted by two tall women. The receptionist led us up to the meeting room. Marcel was standing by the window looking outside at the beautiful complex. He turned around to have a quick look at us both. He was a strikingly handsome man with well-groomed hair. He walked towards me with his hand reached out for a handshake. We'll shake his hand. It's such a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Caronti. I appreciate your efforts to reach out and establish a mutually beneficial friendship. Thanks for hosting us. I admire your father very much, and may he rest in peace. Welcome. Your kind words have touched me, Mr. Vice President. He was indeed a great man. Please may he rest in peace. Please accept our condolences. He'd be very happy to hear this from you, Mr. President. It's time to look forward. Let's talk about our bright future. Yes, there is much to discuss. Believe it or not, I've been a secret admirer of your political success. I find your quick rise to power was shockingly well executed. Thank you. Marcel gently pointed at the seats. We sat down around a gigantic table. Before speaking, he knocked on wood. The past months have been tumultuous, to say the least. I'm glad you and your family went unharmed at the shooting. The whole incident must have been a shock for the kids. They aren't used to what we lived through back in the late 20s. I still remember when my father took us out of the country. It became too dangerous in Comriat. I stayed and served my country dutifully. They were startled, but the important thing is they are safe and sound. Let's go for that one. Let's not accuse him of being a coward just yet. Of course, that is all that matters. No family should suffer from tragedy ever again. We had enough of that. Well, I am known to be a straightforward person, so let me get to the point without wasting your valuable time. It was during the Alfonso campaign when I was struck by what you have done with the party. Look at the painting. The famous piece depicted a giant sleeping beneath a village. The trees, rivers and hills were all part of the giant's body. Its eyes were two Ks looking up at the people. It showed daylight as the far left and night time as the far right. The giant seemed to watch the village. It was totally unbeknownst to the villagers. Marcel pointed his finger at me. You said we would transform this nation, Mr. Rain. My conglomerate has a way of doing things. I don't want them to change, so I want to cooperate with you. Please explain further. You might have the people's support now, Mr. President, but what happens when you make mistakes? Everyone makes mistakes. Let's hear his point, Mr. Vice President. Being a president in this country means having many enemies. Enemies that would resort to anything to bring you down. Let's say these enemies cause a scandal or leak sensitive information from the administration. These would be destructive when they're released. If they were released. Continue. Assuming the articles would actually protect your integrity no matter what, try to imagine how up to 5 million people I reach will not lose faith in you. Let's hear your offer. I want 2 things, Mr. President. Number 1 is a guarantee from you that the Reign administration won't meddle in HOS affairs no matter what happens. Number 2 is a simple gentleman's favour for the future. Let me prove my services to you first, and I'm sure you won't disapprove when the time comes. How do I know that I can trust you? My circle advised this against this, but they don't even know that we are meeting, Mr. President. We both put ourselves at risk here, but I'm willing to trust you. The question is, are you willing to trust me and accept the offer? What do you think about this, Lucien? I trust Lucien more than Peter, to be honest. I think it's a good deal. He is right. We will need the media support. With his newspapers and channels on our side, we can dodge a lot of bullets. The one thing that bothers me is his favour request. We do not know what it is, and he could ask us for something that could point fingers at us. So, do we have a deal? Oh. I do feel if we turn him down, we're going to have some issues. We have a deal. Happy to hear that. You can contact me personally through this number. As soon as you know that a story against you will break, please call me and it'll be taken care of. I'll hope you uphold your end of the bargain as well. As long as you do too. You can count on me. We'll meet again. Goodbye. Thank you for your time, Mr. Gronte. We made a backroom deal with Marcel to control the media outlets. Oh, I don't feel good about that. I really don't feel good about that at all, to be honest. I really didn't want to control the media, but I'm not sure I really had a choice. Especially he's so powerful. This way we might actually be able to get things done, and then we can atone for our sins later down the line. Casaro Kibiner demands emergency to be called. The leader of the NPF, or the NNFP, sorry, the National Front, has demanded an emergency to be called to address the increasing political violence in the country. He stated that without a declaration of emergency, Swordland would be destabilised, and the integrity of the country would be damaged even further. Which is true, to be honest. With the assistance of the National Business Council and the Central Bank, Simon Hall put forward a countrywide relief, Minister of Economy, plan to mitigate the economic hardships that are being felt. We can either provide stimulus checks for people in need or bail out businesses under serious financial strain or decide not to approve the plan. Bail out businesses under financial strain, provide stimulus checks for people in need. Okay, so we looked after the businesses last time, we're going to provide checks for the people this time. But we are getting pretty low on our government budget. We're not going to be able to approve much more. That's for sure. Okay. Here we've got the funeral of Bernard Circus. The death of Bernard Circus has shocked the country, and his funeral will be held in Derry amongst a large crowd of sympathisers. Circus was not only a communist poet, but also an elected MP that had a voice. A state funeral has been organised to honour him. The question is whether the President and the administration will attend, and we will. He was a sitting MP who was assassinated. I feel like we have to, really. Let's see how we really have a choice. So here we go. Dark clouds are looming over Derry. They looked daunting as our convoy started approaching the century-old cemetery. It looked like it was going to rain, certainly fitting weather for a funeral. As expected, Bernard Circus's passing maintained its media traction, and all of Swordlands was paying attention to the ceremony, especially to what I would say in my speech today. So, we've arrived. Raindrops were running down the car window when Sergei opened my door and held an umbrella over my head. As soon as I got out, flashes from the camera blinded me. It's okay, Sergei. I will hold my own umbrella. As you wish, sir. He handed me the umbrella and started waiting next to the car with his own. Peter and Carl exited from their own cars in the convoy and they made their way over to me. Anton, Mr. President. I just wanted to inform you that the perimeter is clear and secure completely. There was no one going in and out without our knowledge. Good work, thank you, Carl. Let's just hope it's true. Good, if anything happens to Anton, you have to answer to the First Lady. And trust me, Carl, you don't want that. Peter let out a laugh, which drew some attention from bereaved attendees. I don't think any of us want that. Indeed. It started to rain. Several unintelligible voices were heard from the car's radio. He stepped out to reply and returned shortly. We have a small problem, sir. A few, 5 to be exact, red youth members are here to attend the funeral. They apparently say they wish to pay their respects to the fallen comrade. Should we let them in? Do you think they pose a security threat? No. They are thoroughly searched. It looks like they really are here to attend the funeral. Let them in, but put a few guards on them to be safe. That way we are kind of appeasing both sides. We're letting the communists in, but the National Front can see us that we're not just letting them run amok. We walked towards the crowd circled around the grave. Everyone in attendance was wearing black in mourning. The rain started pouring heavily. Bernard's widow and daughter were in the front row, staring at the coffin with a mixture of disbelief, confusion, and above all, a cold, unforgiving sadness. Both their eyes were very red and swollen from weeping. Before taking my place to observe the ceremony, I gave my condolences to Bernard's wife and his daughter, who looked at me. She reminded me of Dina. When the religious ceremony was done, I was invited by the priest to deliver my speech. I took the podium. I felt like I had a lump in my throat. I couldn't get the daughter's eyes out of my head. Today, we are mourning Bernard Circus, a father, a husband, and a loyal servant of this country. Towards the back of the crowd, I spotted the members of the Red Youth, wearing red shirts and black bands of mourning on their arms. They seemed ruly and respectfully bowing their heads. There was complete silence except for the sound of raindrops. Regardless of his ideology, this was a heinous act made towards a good man, and we must end this cycle of violence. Circus had a dream of a united Swordland. In these next months, we need to fulfill his dream and band together. That here's the family he left behind have a price that needs to be paid, or not something that's paid in full. But hatred begets hatred. There is only one way to overcome this vicious cycle. We must unite against the evil of this world. Let's try that one. Thank you. I don't think we'll do the poems because he was a communist poet, and I feel that might be going too far. Some attendees started clapping, some crying. The coffin was lowered into the grave by the gravekeepers. After a couple of minutes, Bernard Circus was with the soil. No more. As we bid farewell to Bernard, I want to close the words that every sword lives by. Amorgna Vescor. Everyone replied Vector Sistar. Victory is close. With applauses, I stepped down from the podium, and it was time to leave. The widow thanked me with a soft and defeated voice before we dispersed. On the way back to the car, I still couldn't get the eyes of Bernard's daughter, nor the faltering voice of his wife out of my head. Would Dina, Monica, and Frank look the same way if something happened to me? Peter put his hand on my shoulder. That was a good speech. Thank you, I mean it. I know you do. Come on, it's time to go. We've got work to do. He was right, we had so much work to do. So much more to do. I realised that the rain had stopped and I looked up. The black clouds slowly dispersed and sunbeams lighted our surroundings. As someone once said, even the darkest night will end and the sun will rise. Hope was still on the horizon. Okay. Some form of progress, but we are really running low on funds. And this L1 high-speed railway is taking its sweet, sweet time to get completed. Which is to somewhat be expected. Okay, brief on the current diplomatic situation in Blue Mansion. I think we will stop there, as that seems like a whole other major section to do with the diplomatic issues that we're facing. So, we've met some of the power players of the most recent times, and I don't know if the decisions that we've made are going to affect us in positive or negative ways. Probably a little bit of both, but we'll have to see how that goes. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.